Hey everyone, it's Lexi. So in today's video I'll be sharing with you the top 5 books that I read this winter. So I'm going to go through all the books that I read in December, January, and February, the rating, and then at the end of the video I will do like my top 5 for this season. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So starting out in December, I first read The Rise of Magic by Nora, which I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. Let It Snow, which I gave a 1 out of 5 stars. Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. And Where the Crawdad Sings by Delia Owens, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. Next, moving on to January, I first read 9 Alps by Robert Brydon, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. Daughter of Chaos, which I gave a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Beartown by Frederick Backman, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5 stars. The Little Women movie companion, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. The Harry Potter film Wizardy book, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. And Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik, which I gave a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And lastly, moving into February, I first read Bitter Falls by Rachel Caine, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. The Crown, the Official Companion Volume 2, which I gave a 3 out of 5 stars. And Blood Brothers and The Hollow by Nora, which I gave a 3 out of 5 stars. So as you can see, in terms of the winter season, there were some books that were just mediocre and then some that I really enjoyed. So obviously the first one that I would have to talk about is The Rise of Magic by Nora, and this is the concluding novel in the Year of One trilogy, and I was so excited for this one. I got this one from the library because I have the first 2 in paperback, so I was like, I'm waiting to buy it until it actually comes out in paperback so they all match. But I was so excited for this one. I had such high expectations for it, and it lived up to all of them. Obviously I can't talk too much about the synopsis of this one, but basically the premise of this trilogy is that it takes place in our world, but it integrates Nora Roberts' magic system. So essentially there is this dark magic that gets released into the world, and it causes a plague, and it basically kills 2/3 of the population, the world population, in a matter of weeks. And those who are immune to this kind of dark magic virus are those who have magic in them. So you can see how that can cause some kind of problems with the people that are just normal people that are trying to survive, and it kind of goes off from there. The first book is very much foundational in setting up the world, and the second one is where the kind of story kicks off. But this was, out of the whole the trilogy, the second book was my favorite, but I really enjoyed all of them. I thought this series was really well done. It was different than what I tend to normally read, but nevertheless I still really enjoyed it, and it was just a lot of fun, and I cannot recommend this trilogy enough. So next, this is actually the first Tales and Teacups book club picks for 2020, and it was Beartown by Frederick Backman. And I had high expectations going into this. My aunt read it and she really enjoyed it and she raved about it. So I had high expectations going into this, but basically the premise of this story, it takes place in this small town in Switzerland, and this small town has really nothing going for it except its junior hockey team. And the junior hockey team is going into the semi-final match, and the team, the whole town is excited because they think this is going to be the turning point for them. Everything is going to change after this. And what happens the night before the game, what happens the night after the semifinal match is there is essentially a rape that takes place between the star player of the team and another person of the community, and it kind of goes off from there. But what I really liked about this story is the books that leave you so emotionally upset, that I was so upset reading this because it was very much, I felt like it was a very much a accurate representation of our society and rape culture and victim blaming, and it was so frustrating to read that, and that's how you know that this book was well done, because it tackles that, and I felt like it was real, and I was so angry and upset reading this. And that's how you know if a book can spark those emotions, that's when you know it's doing its job. And so like I said, I love this. It jumps around from multiple points of views, and you got to see kind of how different people responded to these events and what they were thinking in that. You got to see it over the course of the novel, which I thought was really interesting, and how their perspectives changed and I think that's really interesting, and that's what made it really well done. In my opinion, I did find the first, like, up until leading to the, like, the main events of this book, like for the first 100 pages, like, I found, because it does jump around and it's like establishing the characters, it was a little bit slow, but after kind of like the pinnacle moment in the book, like, it really kicks off. And yeah, this one definitely really struck a mark with me, and I think it's very impactful. Next, I have 9 Alps by Robert Bresson, and this is his newest crime series, and it follows a detective named Kate Marshall, who 15 years ago was involved in the 9 Elms murder investigation, and she was the one who eventually took down this killer, but in doing so it also took down her career, and she became very much scrutinized by the public. And even after 15 years after the fact, she's still putting the pieces of her life back together, and she's now a professor in criminology, but she kind of gets pulled back into her detective world when there's been a series of murders taking place that are very much reminiscent of the 9 Elms killings, and it kind of goes off from there. I really love this book. I love his Erica Foster series, so I was really excited for his new one, and I really love Kate as a protagonist. She is very flawed, but that makes her really realistic in my eyes, and I felt like this was a very good origin story, and kind of just setting up the Kate character. And yeah, there's just like, it was really intense. Like, I found the little, like, the maybe like between like the half of the book and the third quarter or 3/4 of the novel, I found it to be a little bit slow, but the end was just so intense, and I loved basically every second of it. I think he has a new book coming out relatively soon for this series as well, so I'm super excited for that. I am a fan of his writing, and if you're looking for like a new fast-paced crime series, I highly recommend you check this one out. So next I have Bitter Falls by Rachel Caine, and this is the 4th book in the Stillhouse Lake series. So obviously, because this one is kind of further along in the series, I can't really talk about events specific in this one, but basically the premise of the story, it follows this family whose life basically fell apart when they found out that the father of the family was a notorious serial killer, and they kind of, after the wife was found to be innocent, like, she didn't really know what was going on, people still thought she was somehow involved. She must have known something was going on. There was a lot of scrutiny and threats for her and her kids, so she ends up going, kind of changing their identities and starting out in a new town called Stillhouse Lake, and it kind of goes off from there. But this one is the 4th one in the series. The first 2 books essentially deal with their background and kind of the after effects of, and like the fallout of kind of their father being the serial killer, and then the series kind of takes a different direction after the 3rd one essentially. But I was curious to see where this one was going because it's kind of deviated from its main plot, but I really liked the direction this one's going. This one dealt with a religious cult, which I thought was super freaky. I think cults are just really, from a psychological standpoint, they're very interesting, but they're also very terrifying, so it kind of deals with that, and I liked it. I thought it was really fast-paced. It was just a lot of fun to read. I do find the character of Lanny to just be so annoying. Someone needs to just slap her and set her straight. She's so annoying. Yeah, Connor, I like Connor as a character. He's fine of the kids, and then Lanny is just she's just a brat and she just does her own thing, and I'm just like, girl, you need to check yourself. But yeah, despite that, I still really enjoyed this one. It was just a lot of fun. So as you guys kind of saw with the overall ratings this season, it was kind of either I really enjoyed them or they were mediocre. So this was one that I enjoyed, but it's out of the ones I talked about, it's the lowest of the top 5, and it is Where the Crawdad Sings by Delia Owens. I heard so many great things about this book. It has stellar reviews on basically every book website, basically. So I was like, okay, I have high expectations going into this, but it deals with someone who's known as the Marsh Girl, and she's someone who lives out in the marsh in this small town, and she is very much isolated in her world. She is very much one with nature. She's interested in biology and animals, and she's very much just kind of in her little bubble. But we kind of see her basically growing up from the age of like 7 until she's in her 20s, and then while this is kind of, we follow her kind of story as she's growing up. We get kind of flash forwards to her when there's a murder that takes place, and there is kind of something going on that she is somehow, people think she's involved in, and it kind of jumps around to there, which the plot of it was very interesting, but I felt like the plot twist at the end was really well done. Like, I really loved the ending, but I felt like, and like the writing was very lyrical, and it was very atmospheric, and just how she wrote about nature in here, and it was almost like a love story, like, for Mother Nature. I thought that was really well done, but I felt like there was something missing from this book. Like, I think maybe because it was hyped so much, I had like this thing like built up in my head of what I expected it to be, but it completely was a little bit different than what I expected, and I felt like it was missing something. I just can't really pinpoint what it was missing. So like, that's my little critique, but I still really enjoyed the story. It was a little bit of a slow burn, so it is like, it's a little bit slow, but I still really enjoyed it. Like, it wasn't the best book that I've ever read, but it was still like a decent read. Like, it was a good quality read. Yeah, I just can't really pinpoint what was missing for me, but yeah. So that's it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what some of your favorite reads were this season and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.